there, as you can see, it is sealed in there nicely. I don't wipe up any of the excess. Torqued all the bolts down and I pulled it in there. Very nice. It spins. Doesn't spin too freely right now as it's frozen. But we're going to let it thaw out and then see if it'll spin nice and smooth. Alright, I'm not going to torque down the head. Spin all this down in there. Alright, the head is on. Alright, we're now going to test to see. We're now going to pour some two-stroke oil down into the bore. Just a little bit, just a capful. Just to kind of help lubricate things. It's not a very improvised funnel. A little bit more. Should also help lubricate the rings. There you go, this thing's nice and free. Alright, got it almost all completely assembled again. Try to work out what is the Kickstarter. Sounding good. Alright, so that's unfortunately where this video update ends for the spree. Basically I got it all put back together, and it wasn't picking up any fuel from the tank and taking it into the flow bowl. So turned out to be the crankcase. So what I did is I pulled it apart somewhat and re-torqued the crankcase bolts. I don't unfortunately have a torque wrench, so I ended up snapping one of the bolts. Didn't realize it. I kind of heard a pop, but didn't think much of it, unfortunately, and I put it all back together then and fired it up, and it fired up the first time. Literally within a second or two of hitting the start button, it fired right up. I sprayed some starting fluid in there, so that's why. And it ran for a second or two, and then it just stopped. I can't remember if I got that on video or not, so I'll post that at the end if I did. Anyway, it stopped and it locked up completely. So I'm like, okay, that's obviously not good. Went over, I still had the flywheel cover off, and I looked at the flywheel and there was a bolt in it, in one of the holes that's in the flywheel. There was a bolt in it facing the wrong way and like bent. And I'm like, okay, that's obviously not good. Pulled the flywheel off and it was indeed missing a bolt. And the crankcase, had to pull the crankcase and then had to get the bolt back, or get the end of the bolt out of the hole in the other half of the case. Got that out, put it back together. I did realize at some point in there that when the bolt flew out and got lodged in the flywheel, it pretty much, it didn't completely destroy, but it definitely damaged the stator. So put it all back together, hoped that the stator was okay enough to start it, and it finally got fuel and it picked it up. I had to drain the flow bolt twice. That's how much fuel it was picking up. It was doing great, but it wasn't starting. Excuse me. And so I'm like, okay, and I ran through, checklist, and I spaced over the fact, well, does it have spark? Because it's fired. I assumed that it had spark because it fired the first time. Well, that was obviously before the stator got damaged, so I pulled the spark plug out, and it does not have spark. It doesn't have anything getting to the coil, so stator is damaged, broken, you're assuming. So I am going to order a new stator as soon as I can get one for a decent price. I put an offer in on one on eBay. Hopefully that will be accepted, and I'll buy it. And yeah, unfortunately, this will put me over the $300 mark for an investment. I was trying to keep it under $300 before registration and insurance, but it doesn't look like it will. It's not a huge deal. It just isn't really what I wanted it to be. Like I said, it's getting vacuum, it's getting compression. The couple things that I'm worried about are if I think the bolts will hold. I just am afraid that maybe the hole got stripped out or something when I was removing the other one. I did it very carefully, but you never know. I mean, it went in there and it torqued down fine. So I have no reason to think that it won't, but it obviously could be an issue. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I'll try and get the stator in as soon as possible. I'm going away for spring break, which starts tomorrow. Tomorrow's Friday. So I'm not going to pay for rushed shipping. I'm not going to be here anyway when it gets here. When it does get here, though, or I guess when I get back, I'll throw it in and give it another go. It was funny, after I had taken it apart to get the bolt out, I was spinning the flywheel, and I was spinning it to the right, which is backwards. You spin the flywheel to the left, because that's just how the motor is. It spins, the flywheel spins to the left, and I wasn't really thinking about that, and it was catching on the kickstart, and I thought that the crankshaft bearing was bad again. I was pissed. So I just put these in here, and then I realized and spun it to the right, and of course spins smoothly. So anyway, I'm already dragging this video out longer than I should. Sorry if it's loud in here. I'm driving home at 1 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, unfortunately this isn't how I wanted it to be. I wanted it to be running today, but you run into things. I obviously need to buy a torque wrench and be more careful. There's a couple things that I should have done, and I'll tell you them, and it's a good idea
probably from 1987 when the moped was made. Obviously, they're weaker than they should be. I had a assortment of grade 5 M6 bolts that I bought the other day, and I should have used those right off the bat. So that's what's in there now in 2 of the places, but I should have used those right off the bat. But I didn't. So it is what it is. I would, if you're working on one of these, or again anything, replace the crank shaft or the crankcase bolts with new ones. Make sure they're the right thread, pitch, and size. It's M6 on the spree. I don't know the thread size offhand. And then replace the head bolts as well. I put the stock head bolts back in there too, and didn't break them, but I don't know. It would be a good thing to do, and I might do it anyway. But yeah, it is what it is. I'm not too heartbroken about it. It's just annoying. I wanted to get it running today, or yesterday, I guess now. Anyway, have a good morning, day, night, whatever it is when you're watching this. I will post another one, whatever happens. Hopefully, once it gets sparks, it'll fire up and be just fine. So, yeah, I'll talk to you guys in probably a week or so.